All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So, again, Neal Schon taking to Twitter, doing some clarification, not an old tweet a few hours ago. He writes here, replying to somebody, yes, but he went out on tour first. This is referring to Steve Perry when he went out on tour during the For the Love of Strange Medicine tour, and played 90% of our songs. What was good for him was good for us, except I didn't get to collect at home while his guitarist did my trade. Ooh. So, this is really beginning to heat up. And then right before that one, Neal tweets out Steve Perry is making more money off Journey now than when he was in the band. Which, again, I don't know if that's true, but the fact that Neal tweeted it out would indicate that, yes, it is true. So, what is this all about? Well, as I said yesterday, these guys won't be going out for coffee anytime soon. What was really weird about the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing is I think there was an opportunity there for these guys to kind of put this stuff to rest, to reorganize. They literally had offered Perry a spot in this group again. They said, hey, Steve, we'd love to have you back. Arnell says he'd step aside, and you can pretty much walk right in and be part of Journey again. Every interview Steve Perry did, he pretty much said, nope, not going to do it. I have no desire to do it. Arnell's the singer, so we're moving on. And moving on, I think, meant that he would be recording new music. He did, of course, come out with Traces. I did a video speculating that there are quite a few ex-Journey members now floating around out there without a home, none of whom really want to tour at this point when you look at who's left, Greg Raleigh being the exception. He's a guy who has been touring pretty much nonstop with Ringo Starr and Santana and some other things. He was briefly part of Neal Schon's Journey Through Time band. It's very interesting here, though, that the gloves are kind of coming off a bit here. I think Neal, for a very long time, felt as though he could make amends with Steve Perry. Perry, in these interviews, said some things that were really hard to not interpret in the way they were intended. In fact, I had a discussion with a gentleman from Rolling Stone about this, and he said Perry did not mince words when it came to both Neal Schon and John Cain. Now, I haven't heard much from John. John, I think, is a bit more of a diplomat. Neal shoots from the hip, which is entertaining at the very least, but certainly, for Journey fans who are just following this, and it is now officially a soap opera. I mean, you can write it down. It's a soap opera. It's a drama that's playing itself out. It appears that this isn't going to end well, in the sense that the hope that people had that people could get back together again and at least deal with each other as civil, decent human beings, that apparently isn't the case. Sean here does kind of make a point that the premise is that these guys wanted to earn money while other guys went out on tour and played the music. They would sit home and collect, and that's kind of what Steve Perry has been doing for quite some time. But as I am kind of a stickler for agreements, once an agreement is hammered out, and it's happened in other bands where the membership of the group is given over to someone who had a minor role in the band and then becomes kind of like commander-in-chief, and it seems very unfair, but that's the deal that was hammered out. And in this case, Perry decided that, number one, if he was going to be kind of cut away from the group and, you go your way and we'll go our way and so forth, Perry wanted a piece of the action, and, he's getting a pretty good sized chunk of the action. It's 12.5%. Someone corrected me over on Patreon. Yes, it's 12.5% of the net proceeds is what Perry is earning right now. And it's fairly open-ended the way that is worded. Basically, it looks like he's getting touring revenue and merchandise and any other miscellaneous things. Any of the records the band has released since Perry left the group, it went down. I think now that'll be at 12.5% if they do release a new record. Neal hinted at new music. My guess is they'll probably release a song here or there, that they're probably not going to come out with a full album right away. That would be my guess, but who knows? And it's going to be very interesting moving forward how this plays out, as Neal Schon has always been very vocal over on Twitter. This is how my channel really got its start 3 years ago, talking about this stuff. Some people wish that I would just emphasize the kumbaya in all of this, and when there's no kumbaya, when there's no harmony, then obviously you talk about the reality of the situation here. You've got people out there saying, no, Perry didn't want to do this to Schon and so forth, but why would Neal be tweeting this stuff out and telling others on Twitter and defending what's going on and saying that, when Perry went out on tour, none of those guys got to kind of collect any of the royalties or whatever from Perry when he was playing Journey songs. So I don't think in either case, to be honest with you, it should have been like a one-time payout to Steve Perry, like a lump sum. And then that should be it, because what that kind of did was encourage this band to not create anything, to not find a singer, and that's I think what his intent was, is to shut it down by saying, if you guys go out and find another singer, I'm going to take a lot of your money anyway. So it's kind of dumb to do that. So in essence, what Perry wanted to do is shut Journey down without him being in it. Any form of Journey without Perry, and this obviously a lot of Perry fans would agree with, any Journey without Perry isn't Journey. And you're going to hear it until the end of time. No matter who is singing for Journey, it's still going to be, hey, this isn't the same as Perry. Even though we know for a fact that Perry isn't going to be able to climb the scales and hit these notes like he used to. But if he were to sing, he would still draw just a tremendous crowd. He'd be selling out large stadiums, I think, if he were with a band. If he was in this band again, or any band for that matter, Steve Perry would draw like nobody's business, even with his current vocal abilities, which are still formidable. Traces is no slouch of an album. It's just that you'd have to get used to hearing things, a step lower than they were recorded. And I think most people who are Steve Perry fans either wouldn't care or wouldn't notice. So that's my video. Things are heating up between Neal Schon and Steve Perry. I don't think Steve Perry tweets. I'll have to check into that and see if he does. I know during Traces he might have been tweeting, but I don't know if he's been tweeting anything as of recently. But Neal Schon, he's a big fan of Twitter, and he certainly uses it to communicate his points. So that's it. I'm done. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're picking up subscribers. Folks, I'm not bragging when I say we've reached this number of subscribers. I have critics that complain about everything I say. Gee, I'm sorry I'm talking about that I got to 27,000. I won't talk about it, okay? I'll just pretend I'm grateful. I'm happy for those people who have decided to subscribe. And again, to the haters, if you don't like the channel, don't watch the channel. There are so many alternatives to me, and as I've said before, I'm really not all that good at this. I just come at this differently than a lot of other folks on Twitter. And, I might not be for you. Again, if you're all about the kumbaya all the time, there are other things that you can watch, The Fluffy Bunny channel, I think, is great for that. All right, I'm done. I'll be back soon. See you.